Welcome to the show!
Are you lighting dumpsters on fire?
Last night was bad.
The whole plane smells like weed.
Those were the days.
It's a joke, you idiot.
He's like, oh, it was great. We used to live in the subway tunnels.
Good old innocent fun. Welcome back, everybody, to Troublemakers, the podcast where each week we bring on a guest and they tell crazy stories about their lives. I'm your host, Dylan Krasinski, with you on a beautiful day, again, in Brooklyn. We've had beautiful days all in a row. I mean, I feel like the last 10 episodes we filmed, it's just been gorgeous out. I mean, and we are here ready to have a good time. With me, as always, is my right-hand man, the man with the mouth, my indispensable co-host, Mike T. Kerrigan, everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you for the weather report, as usual.
You're welcome, baby.
Right off the top. And rate, review, subscribe. We're on everything. YouTube, Insta, TikTok, Spotify, Apple Podcasts.
If you're listening on Spotify, give us that 5-star rating, baby. We love it.
I love the pressure with the fives. You don't give them really an option.
No, dude. What
Why bother, right?
Give
Why
them an
would they?
option, you know? Then people leave 3 stars, and it's going to affect our rating. We got some negative comments last night.
We'll get into the negative comments in a while. Let's introduce our lovely guest here.
Very excited. Let's get right into it. Very excited to have her here. Kentucky native, New York City comedian. I mean, she's been at Just for Last Festival, Jimmy Kimmel. Everybody, put your hands together and welcome Ariel Elias.
Wow, thank you. The applause.
Well, I picture everybody applauding in their cars when I give that intro.
Yeah, get into a car crash, but applaud.
Yeah, take both hands off the wheel.
Let Jesus take it. And you applaud for me right fucking now.
I do applaud on the street sometimes, like when I'm listening and I catch myself, I'm like, everyone around you thinks you're out of your mind. They just see me clapping, excited. I'm like listening to something on a podcast.
Who are you, clapping in the street?
Yeah, I'm excited.
Okay. Well, that is actually a reasonable reason for someone to look at you and be like, yeah, that's a crazy person.
Yeah, I get caught. I've been caught. I think this probably happened. I don't know if you guys, you ever been caught talking to yourself or working out a bit? Like I've been in a full-blown like bit, and then they see you and there's no way to explain because like, no, I seen you. You're crazy. I seen how far you were inward. You know.
I do that. I do a lot of, especially once we started wearing masks, I do a lot of like sitting on the subway, listening to music and pretending I'm in the music video and like lip syncing the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I just know like it's clear from probably from my eyes too, even while wearing the mask. Like people are like, what the fuck? I was like, girl,
I'll do a lot. I'll dance. I'll dance on the street. If I'm like feeling something, like I'll walk to the gym and I'll dance and I know people are looking at me. But listen, it's a main character moment. That's what you got to do. It's I'm being
Montage
the main
moment.
character. Exactly. I sometimes live my life as if I'm being filmed for my movie. And I'm just like, oh, you know, that's what you got to do. Just enjoy it.
What's that main character thing from?
What?
Is that a Facebook like study or like one of those like are you the main
I think
character
it's a
in your
mental
life?
illness.
Okay, good. 'Cause
I think it's called severe narcissism.
yeah, I had a roommate and he was trying to convince. I didn't care for him. He was trying to convince like whoever he was around that he was the main character. And I looked at his whole crew. I'm like, none of you guys are the main character. You're
not even in the movie.
Your roommate. We're trying to like get out of here.
Oh man,
I came across kind of mean, but
yeah, a little bit.
Especially the part where you said didn't care for him.
Oh, my roommates. These are all Craigslisters, so
Okay.
we don't care for each other usually.
I mean, technically, if this is the roommate who was the drug addict roommates, like they could be the main characters, maybe in like an HBO documentary about the tragedy of drugs.
They will be in some sort of he will be in a prostitution video because that was like his MO. He'd be like, yeah, they robbed me again. I'm like, who? He's like, I'm like, where are you finding these prostitutes? He's like, yeah, I guess, I don't know if they threw him on the tracks, but he ended up on the tracks and all his stuff was gone. You know, the Queens tracks are pretty high too.
Oh yeah.
So
Elevated.
Yeah, those are tough.
I wanted to say this. So I'll ask you about this, but I'm sure now you get some very positive comments on social media, but also a lot of negative comments. Are you getting that? We've had this every like month now, like once a month we get, I think it might be the same guy who's just trolling us from different accounts, but he'll post at like 4 a.m. and he'll comment on like 5 videos being like, none of these videos are funny. And I'm like, oh, motherfucker.
Does he go through your Instagram?
Yeah.
Where he does it?
Yeah.
Does he go on both of yours?
Sometimes.
Yeah, I don't care. I like it. You're letting this
I don't care, but I will comment. I usually
I don't care,
comment.
but I will bring it up on the podcast multiple times.
We talk about him all the time. I don't like to draw attention to negative comments, except for the fact that we'll spend the next 5 minutes talking about it on the podcast. But yeah, he just like, it could be a lady too. I have no idea. But
It's
he
not.
just comes.
Let's speak
fair.
honest. It's
That's
not.
Yeah,
fair.
listening
It's
to our
not.
podcast, unlikely.
It's just probably just a sad loser. And yeah, right. I looked at his profile and he's got like one video and it's of him jump roping in a garage. And I was like, what? What are you? You're not in any position to come and judge our lives, dude.
Did you comment on it?
I
Were
usually
you just like, this is how you jump rope?
no,
So lame.
I was going to, but I don't like to feed into it. He just commented like these suck or something, and I was like, that's so weird because your mom loves them, and that's what I comment on everybody's. It makes me laugh, and then they're usually like, that's the lamest thing ever, and I'll be like, keep commenting, it helps the algorithm, and then they stop, and I'm like, perfect.
Yeah, it does like mess with your mind a little bit when you realize that the negative comments are pushing you towards like more views.
Yeah.
It's a little, I don't know. I think we're all like warped and broken from the algorithm.
Yeah. So have you got negative or more? Would you say you got more negative feedback or positive from the beer throwing incident?
From the beer throwing, more positive. But I'm a woman
I
on
would
the
think
internet, so I've been getting negative
heard
comments
that.
for a long time.
I've heard that from a lot of other female
See,
guests.
yeah, as male comedians on the internet, I feel like just getting comments is new to us. And then now it's just like when you get positive ones and then negative ones, you're like, oh, this is a new experience.
I'll post like 5 videos and one of them will be about like hooking up with my husband. And then all the comments will be like, why does she only talk about fucking? Why do women only ever talk about their pussies?
It's crazy.
Or I'll like talk about birth control and they're just like, you only ever talk about your vagina. And I'm like, that's not even the part of my body.
So aggressive.
That's a lot.
Too
It's
much.
a lot.
Yeah, for the people at home, Ariel was, in the video, some guy hucked a beer at her pretty aggressively. It wasn't like a throw. It was like a full.
It was
It was
like
a fast pitch.
I mean, if you told me that guy was a professional baseball player, I'd be like, yeah, okay. It fucking made a loud noise.
Like old school throwing a beer on someone was like in a mug, on your shirt, not like a
Real Housewives
projectile.
style.
And then handled it like a champ. Chug the high noon, which, I mean, if you could choose any drink to be thrown at me, I would be like, yeah, high noon would be perfect.
Interesting.
What was the flavor?
I have no idea. A couple of people have asked me that.
The adrenaline, I'm sure. Was,
I really don't know.
I'm surprised you just stuck. You didn't seem to phase you that much.
Oh man, I think if you could like zoom in on my hands, they were very much shaking. And I remember thinking like, I hope they don't see that my hand is shaking and trembling. But like, in any heckler situation, you're always trying to be like, don't let them see you sweat. Like, don't let them know that they got to you. And you just go like, breathe, breathe, breathe. Like, it's okay. You're okay.
That is best. Hold on, but that's best case scenario in comedy is when what was going on before they're about to either walk or get thrown out. When you get them to leave and you're arguing, that's the best too.
Right.
I hate when they just stay.
Yeah.
The whole time.
I
And
heard
most of the clubs I do, they are not going to throw them out.
These people are not really getting thrown out until they threw something.
Yeah.
We talk about that. It's crazy that no comedy clubs, no comedy clubs have security. Even like the best ones.
No,
Like,
that's not true at
very
all.
few. I mean, I guess the Cellar does, but like
Gotham does, New York Comedy Club does.
So just the clubs you're not allowed
Just
in.
the
pretty
good
much.
clubs have security.
I mean, I'm trying to think. I mean, Brooklyn doesn't. New York Comedy Club, do they? Like, I've never seen security. I've seen
never
like
met Chief?
Brooklyn
bartenders
actually
and like
does.
door guys. Well, like,
And they do throw out actually quicker.
they
than most
have.
clubs.
Yeah, I guess they do have a bouncer. That's true.
Yeah.
But I've never seen anybody like get removed from a show.
I have. I've definitely seen it.
In New York, I haven't. In Boston, actually, I have.
I've seen it a bunch
But-
of times.
Yeah, well, LOL, it's a nightly
dude, they don't-
occurrence.
they-
Oh no, LOL.
LOL
Nothing
does
will
not
ever happen
does
to
not
you.
remove.
No.
Yeah.
They're like, great. Do you have
If
more
there's-
friends?
yeah, if
Do you want
they're-
free tickets for the next show?
Just make sure they pay their tabs before they leave. That's it.
Yeah, because if they're screaming, they're usually drinking, and if their tab is high, they're like, that table's staying. I told you about the time this guy. It was before my set. Some guy passed out and fell out of his seat. He was on the floor,
Sure.
and I'm looking. I'm like, none of his friends are helping. No one's helping. I'm like, oh, whatever. I went down and got a soda. I'm like, I gotta get ready for my set. He'll be cleaned up by the time I get up there.
Yeah.
Dude, someone had propped him into a seat and they started serving him drinks again. It was like,
He's gotta make the limit.
alive? I was like, take his pulse. And they plopped the drinks down for the drink minimum. I was like, this is crazy.
It's a real like weekend at Bernie's.
I used to enjoy that, but
you got to hit the limit. You got to hit the drink limit. That's the most important thing, right? In comedy
Sure.
clubs, you got to hit it. So you grew up in Kentucky.
Yeah.
How's that? What was that like? What do you have a good childhood?
I mean, overall, yeah. It was like picturesque, I guess. I would like play in the creek in the back.
Jeez, that's great.
Yeah.
It is always fun. I like to ask comedians because I feel like comedians are either like, I was a menace as a child. I had like a really bad childhood, or they're like, yeah, it was actually perfect. And I don't know why I'm a comedian now. And you're like,
I mean, right. Like there's no like reason I should be this depressed, but like I just am. I don't know what to tell you.
So you are depressed.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
But you know, I grew up in like where it was a developing subdivision.
Okay.
So it used to be all farmland, and then they started building houses, and our house was like one of the first. We were like one of like, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6, and now it's a whole. So we like grew up on construction sites, and then the creek in the back, which the creek is no longer accessible because they've like built condos or whatever. But yeah, we would like. I mean, more of us should have died, like for sure. The amount of like rusty nails that we were like hiding behind, and like bricks that we would throw at each other.
Yeah. Dude, one time, I don't think I've ever told this story. It just came back to me. One time when I was younger, one of my best friends growing up, literally, we were playing hide and seek, right, in the neighborhood. It's like middle of the afternoon, and he jumps off of a stoop into like a garden, like behind hedges or whatever, and there was like a rusty stake like sticking out of the ground, and literally it went through his shoe, through his sock, through his foot, through the top of his sock, through the top of his shoe. And he's just literally, he was one of my closest friends. If this could have happened to a worse person, it couldn't have happened to a worse person. Like, he was always very careful. He was like, guys, I don't think we should do this. We're going to get hurt.
And he was right.
Literally went through, it was this thing was like an 8-inch stake, went through his foot. He ripped his foot off and started screaming, ran home, and they took him to the hospital. Dude, it was crazy. I think about it now, and I'm like, I had a lot of traumatic experiences watching friends get hurt. One time when I was real young, one of my close friends fell out of like their loft, and he cracked his head open on like the radiator in their living room. And like he had to go to the hospital, and he had to wear a helmet for like 6 months.
What's a radiator?
A radiator?
Is that a Long Island way of saying it?
Yeah, it's like the
that is
wall.
how they say it. Where are you from?
I'm from Boston. They kill me on a couple words I say, so now I was like,
what do you say?
Radiator.
That's like
a radiator?
It's a radiator.
Have you ever heard someone call a bagel a bagel? It's like a weird way of saying it.
I mean, I grew up saying like bagel.
Bagel?
Bagel. Yeah.
All right.
I know.
I did.
I didn't realize I had like any sort of accent, and then I moved
don't think
here.
you do, actually.
Normally I don't, but there are a few words I say, and I used to work it was a cooking school for kids, and we had a dishwasher, and I remember one time it said like ER on it, and somebody was like, what's the dishwasher saying? And I said, oh, it says air. And they go, what? And I go, it says air. I'm like, what the fuck is air? And I go, error, ERROR. And they're like, oh, error. All right.
Dude, I used to do that. The worst one I had was Long Island. I feel like I don't have that bad of an accent, but it comes out when I drink, especially. And so like that right there where you put your utensils in, you pull it in and out, a draw.
A drawer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I used to call it a draw, and people are like, what the fuck is that? And I'm like, a drawer. And now I say drawer. But
how do you say roof? Do you say rough?
No, I say roof.
Have you ever heard someone say that?
Roof.
Up on the roof. Yeah.
Roof.
Yeah.
Rough.
Well, I'm not from this part of Kentucky, but there are people, there's certain regions in Kentucky where you add an R into words. So WASH becomes wash. Okay. Like washing machine.
Oh.
That would confuse me. They add a lot of R's in Boston too. What do they take it? How does it go?
They go.
What's the saying?
It's like they add R's, so it's like car. They take them out like car,
right?
Like for car.
Yeah.
That's your territory, dude.
I left the city when I was young. My parents are foreigners. I'm not going to imitate them.
Where are your parents from?
Ireland.
Yeah.
It would be so much weirder if I came to school. I had like a little bro.
What did you expect him to say if he was just like Russia?
Okay, I would have either guessed Ireland or like a country that no longer exists. Like a Slovakia.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I never got anything but Irish till I moved to New York, and I don't know why the Hasids think I'm one of theirs. And then I seen I seen a clan of little Hasid kids, and they were all. I was like, if you put cardigans on them, they are all fire red hair, super white, pale. And that's why they do it. That's why because where I'm from, Jewish people are dark. No one would ever be like, "Are you Jewish?" to me. I'm like, I have white eyebrows. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the Hasids are always like, they think I might be a lost member. I've almost gone just to like
To their temple?
no, it's what is it? It's like it's it's a certain time of year they
When
come.
they go around and just ask
Yeah, and I think
everybody,
it's dinner.
are you Jewish?
Oh,
yeah.
Jewish?
I should go.
Are you Jewish?
There's the
That's the only time I ever tell anybody no. No, I'm not.
The only time you deny it is
Yeah,
when another Jewish
it's when the
guy-
Hasids ask if I'm Jewish.
Yeah.
there's
Don't worry about it.
the one building right next to the Lower East Side Old Man Hustle
Oh yeah.
where they asked like when I was running shows there a few months ago, and it was like 4 times a week the guy would come up to me and be like, "Are you Jewish?" And I was like, "Hi, no, we've talked every day for the last 5 weeks.
Nah, you
no,
all
I'm
look the
not."
same to them.
It's like, all
They
right,
can't tell the difference.
That's fair. I'm like standing in the same spot, and he's like, "Come in," and I was like, "I'm good."
You are Jewish, right?
Yeah.
Both parents?
Are you Hasidic?
Maybe. We have to
Yeah,
find
no,
out.
both parents are Jewish. My mom is Ashkenazi. My dad's Sephardic.
Oh wow, do you practice? Or do you believe?
I don't believe, but I do practice.
Yeah, that's like I grew
like
up
a
in
real
Jewish-
Jew.
This is what the podcast says. We bring people on and we really break down their faith.
I've been trying
Are
to work.
you a believer?
I have been trying to work on a joke about how like there's nothing more like upsetting or like disconcerting than a Jew who actually believes in God, like who believes in Judaism, where you're like, we don't have to, right?
I
Like,
never
that's
met.
not
I
part of
grew
it.
up around. I never met anyone who did.
My husband believes in God.
Yeah,
and
because he's Sephardic, right? That's different. Is that a different?
He's also half, but it's not different like beliefs wise. It's just different as far as like the region that you come from and some of the traditions, because like the food is obviously different. So the foods that you're not allowed to eat during like Passover or whatever are different. But otherwise, it's all the same books.
Oh, cool.
It's not like Greek Orthodox versus like Irish Catholic. Like those are different.
I was always jealous. I grew up Catholic. I was always jealous of Jewish people because you guys don't have hell. And that was a big motivator for me to be a good person as a kid. I was like, well, I can't steal this candy bar because God is watching and I'll go to hell.
It's so we're just like, life is hard enough. We don't need more struggles after.
That's hilarious.
And you got married since when did you get married?
I got married in May of 2021.
All right, congratulations.
Thanks.
Yeah,
And
congrats.
were you guys dating for a while, or you just met during the pandemic, or what?
No. We met my first week in New York. We met in 2014.
How'd you meet? Yeah, this is
We met at the Creek in the Cave,
of course. Okay.
at the Creek Awards, which
right.
like the Creek now is in Austin.
Yeah.
This was back. The Creek was an interesting place where everybody was welcome, and you would go into those open mic rooms and be like, "Wow, nobody in here flosses." That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And you can just smell that nobody here flosses. But we met at the Creek Awards. I had just moved here from New Orleans, so I always carried a koozie with me, which I still do, and I think everybody should.
Really?
It's insane to me that koozies are not more utilized because they weigh nothing, they take up no space, and they make your entire drinking experience better. So everybody needs to get on the koozie train.
I don't totally disagree with you. I just wouldn't take such a hard stance on that. Like that has such like having a little like frost on my beer or like, condensation on my drink is not inconvenient enough for me to carry around an extra item.
Doesn't your hand get so cold though when you're and then your
hot.
drink gets warm because it's like taking the warmth from your hand. It keeps your drink cold and your hand warm. And I think growing up in the South, that's like a big part of drinking is having a koozie. And I went to school in New Orleans for college and like learned how to drink there. But so I went to the bar at the Creek and I got a drink and I slid my koozie into it. And then I heard a very judgmental voice behind me say, did you bring your own koozie to this bar? And I turned around and it was the man of my dreams.
Yeah, he wouldn't know about koozies because they slam everything, him and his crew.
I mean, listen, I think I drink way too quick for the cold drink to bother me.
Okay.
It doesn't warm up. Or I drink
hot.
wine and, like a true, sommelier, you hold it by the base of the glass.
stem?
Yeah, no, you don't hold it by the stem.
Really?
You hold it by the base. And if you really want to get fancy.
No, I like to hold a shaft.
Yeah, just really
Just
full
yeah.
grip like a beer.
I like to hold it like this. This is how I
Just get all the warmth as much as possible.
Just cup the base.
Yeah,
All
I
right, here
usually
we
just
go.
do two
We got the
hands.
clip.
Yeah.
2 hands around the actual well, just like this, and then I warm it up.
I do love like cupping a warm drink and being
yeah.
like.
We're getting into that
sweater.
season right now.
I
That's the
know.
best time.
I'm just glad I could bring it back to the weather. That's all I wanted to do.
If it wasn't already called Troublemakers, it would be called The Forecast. And Mike refuses to let me change it.
Yeah.
So that's great. That meeting at the creek. If you were to describe the creek in, however, I think you described it perfectly. Like a room full of people who don't floss. I would never expect to find love there, and that's great.
Yeah, my
Breaking
friend,
down all the stereotypes.
Liz McGee said you found love in a hopeless place.
Yeah, that's about the best way you could describe it. That's so funny.
Yeah, so we met and neither of us wanted to start dating each other, even though we had a lot of chemistry because he was a year out of a breakup, but was clearly still trying to get over that. And I had just moved to New York, where I was very much, I'm here to work on my career. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to win kind of mentality.
Sure.
But we just kept hanging out, and then I guess after a couple of months, we got drunk and hooked up.
Great.
Yeah.
That's the way it goes. That's a New York love story right there.
It is. And then we got engaged in 2018 and then married during the pandemic.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Hell yeah.
That's pretty cool. So you came in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you were here after me. Maybe I was here earlier than I thought.
Did you come right from, so you went to school in New Orleans? Did you come right to New York after school? Or
No,
did you live?
I lived in New Orleans for a few more years.
And you were already a comedian
very
when
great.
you came here.
I started in New Orleans.
Oh, that's very
Yeah,
cool.
because I remember seeing you at. I thought you were new, but maybe it was just I didn't know you.
Maybe I was just bad.
Yeah. No. I thought you were. I could tell. I was like, yeah, this person's done. Done comedy. You had a
And
couple
also,
good.
yeah.
You had a joke about your mom going missing or something, and your uncle being like, "Well, what? Oh no, what if your parents were dead?" You were like staying with your uncle. You got to remember this one. You were like staying with someone you knew, and you're like, you didn't bring your phone when you would go walking, and you would go. They'd be like, "Well, what if your family died?" You're like, "Well, I would have enjoyed not knowing they were dead for 2 more hours."
Yeah. Wow. I forgot about that.
I just remember the joke. That's like forget names or anything. I'll remember a joke, and that's how I'll remember the comedian usually, at first.
I'll forget everything about everybody.
Really?
Yeah.
I won't remember the names, but I usually remember a joke or something about their cadence on stage.
That's impressive. I truly forgot about that entirely. That was a dark time in my life too.
Oh, see, I thought that was like a joke. You're like, oh, I thought you were gonna remember it so quickly.
No.
That's funny. Now I just seem like I know your act too well. That's the
Yeah.
only joke I know.
That was the research Kerrigan was doing before the pod. He was just really going to the very back of your YouTube channel and just being like, let's find it.
I don't even think it's up there because I wasn't recording. That was back before
This is
everybody
open
was
mics.
recording
This is open
everything.
mics.
Yeah. I feel like you just like stole one of my notebooks.
But
Just your diary. How was it? What was it like living in New Orleans?
It was the best.
It's one of the places I really want to go. I've never been.
New Orleans is great. I love that place so much. It was just, it's just like a place to get drunk and meet strangers.
It's pretty great. Do you get tired of drinking outside?
No, drinking
Yeah.
outside is the best. Also, day drinking is the best.
It's the best.
I love getting drunk by 2 p.m., 3 p.m., coming home, taking a nap, waking up that night hungover, drinking some water, and the next day you're fine.
That is my perfect thing. Actually, this is great. I've had this conversation so many times. I've ranked like the best day drinking scenarios.
Let's hear it.
Do you have any in your head? Because these are my favorite ways to day drink. It is I'm trying to think now. I have the 2 right off the top, but I forget the third one. It's usually it's 3 is like brunch drinking. that leads into a full afternoon of drinking.
I hate brunch
That's
drinking.
3. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I like it. I like it. You show up, you get some food in you, and then it turns into a full day of drinking.
Yeah, but usually what happens for me with brunch drinking is I'm starving because I haven't had anything. I eat too much and then I try to drink. I don't feel anything except more full and a little hungover from the sugar from the stupid mimosa.
That's true. You just got to go straight into vodka sodas. I usually do a sugar drink and then go straight into like whiskeys or something, you know? And then I forget now which I like more. I'm trying to think. One of them's kind of a cheat, but daytime wedding drinking is also great. And then I think number 1, which now it might be number 2 and weddings number 1, but I used to love a good bar crawl.
A
daytime bar crawl.
Okay. I think we have very different ways of drinking. You like these big events.
I love an event because I get to meet people. I get to hang with people.
Charcuterie boards.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's that is.
This is my 8-inch rusty nail in the foot. Like, absolutely not.
What are yours?
I like a chill. I don't want to meet anybody new ever, first of all. But I like a good, like, either we all go over to somebody's place to like watch a game.
That's a good one.
I'll do an event, but like a contained event. So your Super Bowls are nice to go on, like to go early and then drink into the evening. Very fun. Or just like a regular Sunday day of football. Yeah. Very fun. I love like, let's all go to the park and drink illegally.
Okay, that's not bad. I will give you that one.
Especially if like your friends a lot of my friends have kids. They'll bring their kids. I get to get drunk and like play with a 4-year-old. So fun.
I feel like my idea of a fun day of day drinking does not involve children, but you know, I mean, maybe my nieces, but that's about it.
Sure, mine involves children that I don't have to take care of in any way. And that I get to just when I'm done, I'm done.
I do also I love like a, I don't like the beach. I don't love the beach. Being from Long Island is like kind of blasphemy to say you don't love the beach, but I love a lake. So like day drinking next to a lake and playing games. Like like beer die or beer pong, whatever. Some kind of like event, like a beer Olympics kind of thing. Sure. That's like
I feel like only if I'm staying there, because there's nothing worse than going to the beach and being stuck at the beach.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I don't like, Long Island, we spend so much time at the beach that I think we take it for granted. And then it's just like covered in sand. I just rather swim in a pool.
Yeah.
Just
drinking at the beach is something people like to do. It's got to be one of the more dangerous activities I've ever seen. I've ever seen you can just black out at the
sharks?
beach. No, the drinking.
Oh, okay.
And they sell, what are those things they sell here? They have a name for it. You got it. Nutcrackers.
What are those?
You don't know what a nutcracker is?
No.
Oh, they're homemade they sell them on the trains. The guys have them bottled up.
Yeah.
They like make them in their grandmother's bathtub and then sell them.
They're usually like super sugary, and they'll sell them on the beach. There's always a guy coming by.
Good.
It's a lot of time 151 is what they use. Oh. Yeah, if I drank, that would be the drink that on the way home put me into that extra blackout. Because I was like, I was almost gonna make it home. They're like, you weren't that bad, Mike. What happened? And you're like, I don't know, dude. I got on the train and then woke up and covered in blood.
Let me ask you that, because you don't drink anymore.
No, I quit so long ago.
The last time you drank, did you know that it was going to be your last time going in?
That's a great question.
I don't think so, but I knew when I hit a tree that
in your car or walking?
in a truck.
In a truck, okay.
That actually sobered me up. So I got out of the car and my leg collapsed, and I was like, I didn't know why. So I tried to get up again. It wouldn't work. And then I realized, I don't know if I could see it, but it was, both of them were bones were broken. Because I remember I picked it up by the jean, and I threw the leg over the other one. And then I called. But I knew when I woke up in the hospital that I would never drink again. I actually never felt better. I think it was like a miracle. Because I remember telling my uncle, he's not around anymore, but he was an alcoholic. And he came in, he was like mad, and I was like, he's like, how do you feel? I was like, I feel great, and I was like, kind of hooked up to stuff.
Yeah, you got an IV. You're not hungover.
Yeah, I felt
feel
so
great
good
in that moment,
and I knew I would never. Like I knew it was weird. It was like it was removed, like a lot of maybe built up whatever was making me drink. It was all gone. It was a miracle. I remember it. I didn't know at the time till afterwards, and yeah, that was it. And
Do you go to meetings and stuff?
No, but I had gone to meetings in high school because of like some sort of police involvement. So I knew the scene.
Were the police not involved with this?
Kind of, but yeah. And I went to a course for that.
Shocking, actually, that the police wouldn't have been involved.
Yeah,
You hit
I went to a course for this.
Broke your legs, and I'm sure they took your blood. What was your blood alcohol?
Dude, I don't know. The worst blood alcohol I ever had was, the guy woke me up. They had pumped my stomach, and he pulled out 3 bags. One bag was stomach stuff, like regular puke, and then he showed another bag. He was like, "This was clear vodka." He's like, "We got this out." Maybe he was. I don't know if he was lying or not, but either way, he was like, "If this had gone through," and he wasn't wrong because I did slam a full bottle. It's like this went through. You're done. But they got it out.
God,
Jesus.
So I knew I was young. I had a problem with drinking. Like the first time I went to brunch, like you guys were talking about brunch.
Yeah.
I didn't really know what brunch was. A buddy of mine brought me, and I think we had what was the one with the tomato juice? The
Bloody Mary.
Bloody Mary.
So we had a Bloody Mary. That's normal. Then they introduced me to
I had one of
Long
those on
Island
the
iced
plane the other
teas,
day.
It's pretty good.
and I had like 6 in a row. I just
Long Island iced teas?
slammed them. They were so easy to drink. Blacked out in the day or borderline. I remember I was hanging around with homeless people. I was doing whippets.
Sure.
I was scaring the homeless. They were like, "Don't talk to him." And that's when you feel like trash. You're like, these homeless people don't want to be around you.
That's so funny.
And that's just not
We
fun.
used to have in New Orleans, there was this place called Quills, this bar. It was like a college bar. And on Wednesdays, they would have big cup night. And for $5, you would get, I mean, probably that big. It was like a
love that.
like a full, it was bigger than a pint.
Mm-hmm.
And you would fill it with whatever you wanted. And we would, I was 18, so I didn't like really know how to drink. So I would do like amaretto sours.
Oh my God. Oh God.
But a lot of my friends would do Long Island iced teas, and we would do like 2 of them and just be blackout.
Oh.
Which,
yeah, those get you they're so sneaky. They're so tasty.
If I had realized how expensive my tuition was, I would not have done that.
You
stuff.
think about that. I know it's crazy that you think about it now, but like they're just giving out money to people, to kids, and I'm like, oh, it's free. I don't have to pay that back. It's nuts. Did you ever get in trouble in New Orleans, or have friends who got in trouble in New Orleans?
I got in trouble before classes started. My freshman year, I got in trouble for weed. A bunch of us did. This is so, God, we are so 18. It's so crazy. It was during orientation week. So the rest of school hadn't even arrived yet. And it was like my whole hall. There were like, I don't know, 20 of us.
Yeah.
We were like one girl who I'm still friends with, who's the best. She like had weed, and we were like, all right. And she was like, let's go behind the dorm. And there were like 20 of us sitting in a circle to share like one bowl. Like we didn't have like a ton of weed. And it's just the biggest circle. We're passing it around. It hadn't even gotten to me. And then these little cops on bikes, the little 2-lane police department pulled up. And apparently the first cop was like kind of cool, and he was going to tell us like, just throw it away. Yeah. He also later got in trouble for sexual assaulting students. But at the time we were like,
you got to be cool in the beginning, you know?
Yeah. But we were like, Gary's cool. But then his like chief was behind him and was like freaking out. He was like, whose dope is this? And none of us, we're not going to, he was just like, I want names of, what would your parents think? Whose dope is this? So he went around, he took all of our names. And finally the girl whose weed it was like, it's mine. Oh. And they brought her, they had underneath the gym, they had like a little jail, like a little college jail. And they brought her there. She had to spend the night there. And
that's horrible.
It's so for truly like.
What year was this?
2007.
Oh my God.
In Louisiana.
Oh, okay. Maybe I was gonna say, how lame of a school is that?
I mean, Gary, the cool cop who was also a criminal, was like, hey guys, listen, next time, just go off campus. Just take it right off campus. It's fine. It's right there. Just go. And then we don't care. And so we all got our names written up. We were on probation for a little while. We had to go to like some counseling thing to like make sure we weren't drug addicts. And then there was one guy, we had to like get our I guess we had to meet with 2 people to decide if we were drug addicts. One was like the health person, and one was the punishment person to decide what. And I remember the punishment person being like, he was like, look, this is going to go on your record for like your school record. And one girl was like, is this going to affect like grad schools? And he goes, yeah, but like if you're applying to a place that's not going to take you because you smoked weed freshman year, you don't want to go to that place. And we're like, okay, all right, this guy gets it. This is cool. But yeah, it was there were like special dorms that we applied to live in our junior year, and we were ineligible because we had this thing.
Yeah, because you guys were a bunch of potheads.
We were a bunch of potheads.
They don't want potheads living in the building.
It was just like my first week. My parents got a letter sent to them, and I
wild.
my parents were hippies too. They were just like, yeah, just go off campus next time. Like, we don't care. But just be smarter about it, Ariel.
That's so fucking funny.
Man.
Holy shit.
It's gonna be weird because like the new generation will have none of these busted stories because weed is like, you can like vape in class, you know. And I heard that they're like, dude, I get high in class. They're like, what do you mean like sneaking out? The worst, I think, one of the weed busts. I was hanging with this my buddy who got kicked out of public school, so he went to like a pretty rich school, South Shore, Boston. You know, like Hingham area.
Yeah.
Very, very rich. And the girl's dad busted us. We're all in the shed. We're smoking. It stinks, but he didn't find... We were smoking out of a 4-foot bong. And I think someone had straight denied it right off the top. There was like someone who was like, nah. And we were busted. We should have been like, yes. And when he found it, because it was some... I don't know how they filled it. Were they using a vacuum? There was something you used to fill it, and it was filled yellow. And when he found that just put him... He was like, what is this? What the hell? And he's looking at his daughter. Then he grabbed his daughter. He's like, get inside. Because then he didn't even know what it was. He didn't know it was weed. He didn't know what the hell we were doing. It's like 4
thought it was like meth.
Contraption.
Like, what's happening?
Bong. And everyone gave their name. And I gave my name because I didn't go to the. And I'm like, you don't know. I'm from like 4 towns away. Who cares? I remember remember that fear.
Oh, God. Yeah.
I still have a little bit of that, even though weed's legal. Like, because I'm,
And you're like a grown up.
Yeah.
Dude, I have a little bit. I never was. I used to be afraid of cops, like terrified when I was like a kid, and then I worked in the courts for a long time. So
what'd you do in the courts?
I was a prosecutor.
Really?
Yeah,
Dylan
for 5 years. Yeah, in Boston. And
what?
Then,
She just lit up when you said that.
That's insane.
Yeah. And yeah, now I do entertainment law.
And did that make you less afraid of cops? You were like, these guys are all idiots.
Well,
except for the ones who listen to this podcast.
Sometimes. No, it honestly made me, it was such a interesting experience because you would meet these people and you would work with people, probation officers, cops, detectives. I met Secret Service agents that I've worked with, judges, clerks. And you realize like, everybody is like in anything. They're really good. This is such like a cliche thing, but it's like there are very good people.
Yeah.
There are very bad people, and then there's people in the middle. I did see a thing sometimes the way that a lot of these cops, even the best ones, even the really good ones, the way they would treat certain people, which to be honest, sometimes they need to be treated a certain way, like in like a little bit of more of an aggressive kind of tone. I don't know if that's the best way, but when someone's like losing their shit in the middle of the courthouse.
Yeah, when somebody's like scaring the homeless people.
And like, yeah, doing whippets and day drinking, blacking out at brunch, like they need to be handled a little more aggressively. But like I did see sometimes where like people would like, normal people would come in and ask a question, and like some of the asshole cops would be like super cool to me or nice to me, and then totally change their demeanor with like just a regular person. And I'm like, oh, you're a piece of shit, dude.
Yeah.
But that's not that's by far not the majority. There are very few. I remember one cop got suspended for like something. I think it was stupid. He was like using his lights inappropriately, like flicking them on going through. And they have like systems that can tell when the lights go on. And a lot of times if people call it in, so like someone called it in, like he flicked his lights and like went through a red light or something and then turned them off. Someone called it in and was like, hey, I just saw a cop car, this thing go through. And they brought him in and they asked him about it. And which wouldn't have been a problem. It's like, okay, don't do that. But he was like, no, I didn't do that. And that's a big problem because if you're lying about something stupid like that and like super innocent that you're not really going to get in trouble with, like what else are you going to lie about? And like that has to then go in like a written document that you have to then disclose to every time he's on a police investigation. It's like, oh, one time he lied about this thing. And then defense attorneys can cross. You almost like can't be a cop because it's
or
like,
you can't like testify.
Yeah, it totally shoots all your credibility and like you're done.
I was on jury duty once in Queens, and when they ask you all these questions to see if you can be on the jury,
I cannot wait until I get to go to jury duty. I would love to do jury
loved
duty.
being on a jury. It was so fascinating. But one of the questions to all of us, because this case involved testimony from police officers, one of the questions was just like, can you recognize that like cops also lie? And it's a Queens jury, so everybody was just like, yeah. We're on board.
The big questions are always that they would ask was, and Massachusetts is very like probably one of the more progressive states when it comes to like defendants' rights and like, accused people's rights. Is very protective of defendants. But they would always ask like, the fact there is testimony from police officers, the fact that a cop is testifying, you realize that their testimony does not carry more weight.
Right.
Are you able to reconcile that? And they're like, yeah. But then people would be like, well, I don't know. Like, why would he lie? Or like, why would she lie? She's a cop. And then there's like, okay, well, you can't be on the jury.
Do you think those people are just trying to get out of jury duty, or they really believe that?
It's a mix. You can tell when like people come up and they're obviously they don't want to be there. I don't want them there.
Right.
Like I don't want them. If you don't want to be here, leave. I don't care.
I was so psyched.
Oh yeah,
I was so glad I got called.
They'll never call me. I was told in Massachusetts one time, a kid goes, dude, they're never going to use you. I go, why? He goes, your last name, you're Irish. I was like, what? It's like, yeah, we don't use you. You're racist. I was like, what?
I wonder if that still holds true here, though.
I also don't think in a lot of the cases, because I had a young record, they're like, I didn't fit the script. They're like, this guy's he's probably leaning too much on letting them go.
But wouldn't that balance out with your racism?
Hey, they don't even, these guys, I should have sued them for racism.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of like if anyone ever. I feel like one time, and I can't remember specifically, but I feel like one time someone said something like just so horrific and like me, the defense attorney, the judge, and the clerk were all like, what the fuck? We're like, yeah, you're good. You can go sit down. Yeah. It was something like, oh yeah, well, obviously, like he's guilty, but like for like because of the way he looks, obviously, and we were like, what the fuck, dude? That was
No, I really loved it, especially Queens.
What kind of case was it?
He was charged with both having a knife and sexual assault. But
that's a good one.
But I will say the sexual assault, I'm not like whatever, but it wasn't like he didn't rape anybody. He like groped a woman on the subway, and she was a cop's daughter. So there was a lot in that case. I think we found him guilty with the knife because that was like obvious.
Yeah.
But the sexual, we just like couldn't. We had to say like not guilty for that.
There's a reason cases go to trial. Like,
right.
If you're seeing a case, like there are hundreds and hundreds, thousands of cases that are pleading because the facts are so good in favor of like prosecution that you're never going to go to trial. It
was just like there was like a 25-minute gap between when she reported it and when they came down to the station and like brought him up and were like, was this the guy? And she was like, yeah. And it was more like because he was wearing the same thing. And I remember we left that night, like the day that we were deliberating, we left it not knowing because there were two people who wanted to convict him on that. And the next day, one of them was like, you know what? When I was in line to come in, I saw a different guy wearing the exact same outfit that the defendant was. And he was like, so that can't be the only thing that we're going on then. So it was really interesting because Queens is the most diverse place in the country. Yeah. It's the most languages spoken. And when they go around sort of like not quizzing everybody, but just they're like, how old are you? What's the highest level of education? And what's your like native language? Mm-hmm. It was so fascinating to hear all of the different answers. And you're just like, I would have never hung out with 9 people from like that diverse of a background for a week in any other setting.
That's pretty good. Did you have to fill out a questionnaire, like written?
I don't remember. I don't think so.
Because that was what they had to do in Massachusetts. You fill out, it's like a page. So you go through like income, what's your job, parents, like is there anything that's going to influence your ability to stay impartial and neutral? And it could be like anything. My uncle's a cop. And then we get those forms, like 30 of them. You got to go through and you rank everybody.
Ours was all oral. We did all of that.
Interesting.
It was like highest level of education, anything that would influence you. But I wonder if that's because they know that written will exclude a lot of people who don't have a certain level of education.
Yeah.
If
They send it
can,
out
right?
usually. They email it to you or mail it. And then you either bring it with you or mail it back. And because that makes it so much quicker and easier and like lets people write their excuses if they don't want to be there. And they're like, all right.
Yeah, I was psyched. I was like, this is the most democratic process that we have in this country.
I hate court. I've hated court
love it.
for so long because I was there like young. And I didn't do anything crazy.
Our experiences with court are totally
I was on
opposite. I'm like, I love it. It was so fun. I got to be in trials like every single day I was in court. And Kerrigan's like, yeah,
I used to represent myself.
be arrested and it sucked.
You guys both know the law, but for very different reasons.
Yeah, I remember I was like 13
I had to go to
or
law
whatever.
school. Kerrigan just had to,
Be his own
drive
lawyer.
drunk.
The reason I became my own lawyer kind of or whatever is because this kid I was hanging out with who was I didn't know him, but he was on the bench with me and he knew the lady came in and he just gave me a quick, he goes, yo, they're gonna shaft you right now. And he was like, this is what you do. He told me what to do. And he had been there. He had been there since he was like 9. Like he knew the system in and out and he was 100% right. They were going to have me sign a thing with like the max charge. It was like almost like a bonus charge. And I just represented myself, got a continuance without a finding, and I did that for like 4 years.
Wow.
And
What
now
was
I'm
that
older.
for? Quaff.
It's really hard to explain, but it was I think, what was the first one for? Something to do with like property damage or something.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't want you to recite. What did you do?
I was innocent, I think, on this one, but
Kerrigan,
I don't remember which one. Some of them were bogus. They were charging me through the school. The school was like involved, It was like a school.
So what did you do at school that
led
caused
to
you
this.
to
trying to
be
think which one.
arrested
Well, I
and
did
brought
the one,
into court?
It might have been the one where I sprayed down. We were like spraying this auditorium down with like hoses, and it set off the fire alarms, which I did do. But one
I'll cop to.
Okay.
I'll admit to what I did.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
They would always like throw you in for others. That's what made me mad as a kid. They would like then.
So this
blame
is
me for something
juvie.
else.
This is like
Yeah, I wasn't going to
juvie.
even
Okay.
face juvenile.
No, they don't, dude.
You have to be
send
really,
someone.
really bad to get.
Yeah, I did.
Violent.
I did a stint in juvie court, like as a prosecutor, and to actually send someone to get locked up, like in juvenile detention, it has to be so egregious. Like I had cases where like kids like would jump other adults with weapons, and like they were just like getting like light probation, like very, very, which I don't necessarily disagree with.
Yeah.
They're kids. But yeah.
My grandfather ran a school for youths who
Troubled youth?
Yeah, it was either juvie
Kerrigan
or
go there?
this.
I wasn't even that troubled. I was got in trouble a little bit.
Like 60 years ago. It was the story of the Limbaugh baby,
No.
Charles Limbaugh.
Lindbergh?
Lindenberg.
Oh,
sorry.
yes, yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
very tired. The Lindenberg baby. You can edit that out, right?
It all stays in. No, I
Wait, is it Lindenberg or Lindbergh?
I thought it was Lindbergh.
I think it's Lindbergh.
Lindbergh,
I think you're right.
yeah, the Lindbergh. baby.
The Nazi guy.
He was a Nazi?
Yeah. Did you see? I can't think of any names right now, but the Philip Roth show with I just turned into my mom. I'm like, the name of the show with the guy.
Lindbergh baby. What
Yeah.
did he flew around the world, right?
He flew around the
Okay.
but
He was a Nazi?
He was
Sympathizer or like straight up
I think
Nazi?
sympathizer.
Okay.
But so the house that he had where his baby was kidnapped from and then murdered, afterwards he was like, I can't live in this home. So he donated it to the state, which then my grandfather ended up taking, that's where he started the school.
Oh, shit.
For disaffected youth. And that's where my dad grew up. My dad grew up in the Lindbergh baby's bedroom.
Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
That's crazy.
wild.
Holy shit. Yikes.
Yeah.
That's such a weird story. That whole like the baby goes missing. It's unsolved, right? Like they've never.
No, it's solved. It's just a matter of like who was behind it. It's one of those. I think it's like JFK.
Were the parents involved?
That's one theory.
Oh God, I can't imagine.
That's a theory.
Jeez. Yikes.
All right. Yeah, that was a tough one.
Yeah, we usually like to end the podcast with stories.
We're not
we
gonna
ending?
end. No, we're not going to end. We got to talk about we have a bunch of stuff
with
to talk
babies dying.
Yeah. Talk about you were just on Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah.
How was that?
Congrats. That's
Thanks.
pretty great.
It was fun.
It was pretty cool.
Was it exciting? Were you like, this
Yeah.
is wild?
It was very wild.
Did you meet him?
I did. Yeah.
How was that?
He was very nice.
Did you meet him backstage?
Yeah. After,
Before?
No, not before, but after.
Oh, very
Before we, very little interaction with anybody, except for my friends Liz and Kevin who came with me.
nice.
And then
they just like
afterwards-
sitting it in the back, just like.
I mean, they were so nice and they
Yeah.
were just like, whatever. But afterwards, after I did my set, he hugged me and he goes, how have things been? How are you doing? And
Yeah.
I go, I'm all right. I think you can see it in my set. I go, I'm all right. And then he goes, walk with me. And we like went and sat. And then he asked, he goes, has your career like taken a big jump from this? I go, yeah, I just did Kimmel. And he was like, all right, that's fair enough. He goes, that video was crazy. I don't think I would have handled it the same way. I think I would have, fought that guy. And then I was just like, thanks for having stand up again.
Yeah. Is he bringing it back now?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They built that. Did you do it in the club or did you do it on the set?
On the stage.
That's so cool.
They are bringing the club back. I know that was closed for he has a club in Las Vegas and I think they're opening that back up next month.
Yeah, because I know they were doing it. We had a friend who did it when they were doing, a couple friends who did it when they were doing it like not on the set, but they were doing it in like a separate room. So that's pretty dope that you got to do it like on the actual set. That's so cool.
It's wild.
Yeah.
It's a very different experience than just like being in a comedy club. And what's crazy, I think most people when they find out they're doing late night, they're like, okay, here's the set. I'm going to run it as many times as possible for the next month.
Yeah.
I had a week and in between I had to go to a wedding that I was performing for like Thursday through Saturday, and then Sunday I flew to LA. So it's like the Sunday before I found out that I was doing Kimmel. Then that Thursday I had to go out of town, come back on Saturday, leave on Sunday, do the set on Monday.
Damn.
So it wasn't like as ingrained in me as I would have wanted it to be, but it was very cool.
That's
and it was
great.
fun.
That's super cool. I mean, there's probably some argument of like, for me, I feel like I would be like, having other stuff going on that I get to like almost take my attention or like distract me from it would almost be better for me. Cause I'm like, I would feel like I would just be like stressing about it so much that like having like a wedding in between and then being like, oh shit, I'm here. Here we go.
Yes. I think if there was only a wedding in between, absolutely. But the way that my life was the last 3 weeks was pure chaos. So it was too much. There was too much happening at once. So now things are settling down. We're going back to normal a little bit. We're just like, and what's crazy is like, I wasn't doing a ton of spots. It was like interviews and like, and like op-eds and TV spot. Like it was truly insane and totally out of the norm. And I'm very grateful for it. But I also was like, I can't wake up at 6 a.m. to do this and then do spots tonight.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Damn. Have you ever had a job other than comedy?
Yeah, I've done a bunch of stuff. I've like worked in fast food. I've worked in retail.
What's the worst job you've ever had?
Fast food. Working at Five Guys Burgers and Fries. It's the worst
Really?
job I've ever had in my life. God, I fucking hated that place. I also got part of my finger cut off in the hinge of a door at Five Guys. So I could only work the register after that. And then I had to it was my left middle finger. And the only saving grace of that job was I got to hold my hand up above my heart and just flip people off and be like, it's medical. Also, I mean, everybody who worked there was either like an incredibly hardworking, undocumented immigrant or a meth head. who was also very hardworking. Meth heads
Sure.
work really hard.
Yeah, it's the meth. It keeps them up.
One time they were like, we're having a party. Like one of the dishwashers had a party, and I didn't know any better. You know, I was 19, so I went to this party, and I remember getting there and just seeing the amount of pills where I was like, I don't think I should be here. And one of the managers came later, and he saw me, and he goes, "Are you okay? Are you doing all right?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go home. This is not what I thought it was."
Oh man,
That's hilarious.
That was awful. I worked in New Orleans. I had like a real job. I worked at a community health center, and I was a translator for a while. I was a Spanish translator, and then I would like work the phones and like translate appointments and stuff like that for people. And then I ended up Obamacare got passed while I was working there. Nice. So then, and we were like a clinic for people with Medicaid or no insurance.
Okay.
So we suddenly like switched. Everybody in administration was there. Our job for 6 months was just to enroll as many people as we could.
Oh, damn.
So I was doing that for a while. I got very familiar with Obamacare, and with like the whole like navigating that whole system. And then when I moved to New York, I've been a dog walker. I worked at this cooking school for kids. That's cool. That was pretty awful. That was pretty bad. But we would get to bring home a bunch of free food.
That's true. I mean, there's positives.
They paid us so little, so it was like, you gotta do something.
As I've said on the pod before, working in fast food in this city especially, they need to be paid. I'd say $50 an hour. Yeah. You're doing more mental health work than you are. You know, you're dealing with these guys, these homeless people. Some of them have weapons. It's like burgers are the least of your worries at McDonald's over by Delancey. Like burgers and fries are. I'm dealing with.
That's where that axe thing happened. It was at the Delancey McDonald's.
You know what's crazy about the axe thing?
Did you see this? Mm-mm. It was a couple months ago. It was the dude. These like 3 or 4 guys are beating the shit out of this guy, and he's just like standing up, taking punches to the head, and then he pulls an axe out of his backpack, and he goes, "Now you want to play?" And he just starts smashing the shit out of the whole McDonald's, and then just cold cocks this dude in the back of the head who's like sitting down, and just like it was crazy. I'm almost positive at the Delancey McDonald's.
I just even before
I've been there so many
before
times.
they redid it, it was a real like. It was always like a magnet. Before it was redone, before it was so grimy. I remember going in the bathroom and I was like cleaning this bathroom every day. I've done it. And people, I don't know why they do it. They have these diarrhea fits and they wipe it on the walls. It's not worth it. You walk in, you're like, dude, I can't do this anymore. I can't clean up. You're not getting paid enough.
No, that's brutal.
No, they should be paid so much. They really should.
I don't care what kind. I don't eat McDonald's, but if they give me an attitude, I'll take it because I'm like, all right, fine, because you've earned it.
You've seen some stuff.
Yeah,
I get it.
It's not easy because people always they're like fast food is like it's easy, but not around here.
No, fast food nowhere is easy. It might be repetitive, but it's not easy.
Yeah, customers are, I don't know what it is in America. I think it's our obesity problem, but like they lose their minds over like sauce. They're like, dude, we're out of the bar. I remember this. I seen this girl before a shift. She goes, "We're out of barbecue today. I'm leaving," and she like wouldn't go in. And you're like, what a coward. And then you see what happens when you're out of barbecue. Like people have like weapons. They're like, I'm gonna be back. Like you're out of whatever they're looking for. They're go nuts.
Did you ever see anyone have an allergic reaction because of the peanuts at Five Guys?
No, there are signs everywhere.
I know there are signs everywhere, but I also know people.
They're on the ground. My favorite people were the people who they were like, "What do I do with these shells?" And I would be like, "Just throw them on the ground." And they'd be like, "Oh no, honey, I can't do that. I couldn't possibly." And I was just like, "You I like." They're just like, but who has to clean it up? And that was a rare person who did that.
That's crazy.
It was Kentucky. There were people who were just like, I would never trash.
I've never thrown the shells on the ground.
That's what you're supposed to do. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, you just put
I don't
them on
like
the ground.
Five Guys, so I don't.
I used to.
I will say,
I love Five Guys.
Pretty good food. I mean, honestly,
good burger.
Good burger.
It's unpopular on me. I never liked Five Guys burgers. What's the one I like? What's it? Shake Shack, I think is better.
Shake Shack's good too.
Shake Shack's the best.
They built when I was in high school.
But we didn't have Shake Shack.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah. The Five Guys that I worked at was the first Five Guys in my town.
Yeah, they built a Five Guys when I was in high school. And
where'd you grow up? Long Island. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Like right by, there's a mall out there, Walt Whitman Mall, and there was a Weight Watchers in this like strip mall part of the mall, and then they opened a Five Guys right next door, and then like 2 years later, the Weight Watchers went out of business.
Oh, I would think the Weight Watchers would get more business.
Yeah, because they're getting fatter
Yeah.
coming in.
Yeah, I remember looking at that.
I don't
and it
think
was
that had.
literally
I don't think
Five
that had
Guys,
to do with
Weight
Five Guys.
Watchers.
Weight Watchers had some
And
issues.
then they, yeah, you know.
Weight Watchers is it's a controversial.
I mean, I was in it when I was a kid.
You
Embarrassingly,
were, you were a Weight Watchers kid?
Yeah, I
Did
did.
you,
it when I was,
did you go to fat camp? Answer
Did
the
your
question.
No,
Make you
I
do
never
that?
went to fat camp. No, I think I asked my mom if I could do it, and then like I did it, and
That makes me sad.
thanks. No, I mean, you can look at photos of me in high school. I was just a fat virgin, and and then I was like, I think Weight Watchers. I will say they had these candies that they were these like chew things.
Would they give you diarrhea?
Very good. Maybe.
You ever look at those?
Maybe.
the sugar-free gummy bear reviews?
Maybe.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It's just like it's great. It's great.
They are actually hilarious. I've you read them and it's just like, this was the worst experience of my life. They'll be like, one time I got lost in the wilderness in Alaska. I was almost eaten by a bear, and this was worse than that.
It kind of makes me want to do it.
Yeah, I know.
I could use a cleansing
Oh
from
God.
time to time.
Of course. I mean,
Have you ever been cleaned out?
I've
Either
had
of
food
you?
poisoning.
I want to. What
Had
by
food
the
poisoning.
doctor? Like they give you the
Yeah,
No,
I
I've never had a colonoscopy.
I had
is
to
that
do
the one
one.
when they flush you out?
Yeah, where you have to drink the stuff and just
I'm
have
gonna do that
diarrhea.
now.
Dude,
for
it's
a day.
crazy. I had to do it. I did it like
You lose
2 years ago.
You can lose up to 10 pounds.
Oh yeah, and then my first meal after the colonoscopy, I had Chick-fil-A, and then just immediately gained back the 10 pounds.
Yeah, because you just put it back. It's
Yeah,
in
I
that
mean-
spot where it.
Well, you're supposed to gain it back. I mean,
Exactly.
that's like a
It's
lot
just
of water.
water. It's
that
just
you're
purely
losing.
water.
It's not good
Oh,
to
yeah.
lose that.
It's crazy though. You have to drink this thing. You drink it twice. So you drink it like you have to fast for 24 hours. It's like beyond 24 hours. It's I think like the afternoon before or the night before your 24-hour fast, right? So say you're doing it on like Thursday, on like Tuesday night, you have to like stop drinking at midnight. And then like at like 5 o'clock the night before, you drink this stuff. And my dad was like, as soon as I drank it, he was like, all right, you can't like go anywhere. Like you just have to like stay
home.
here. And like 3 minutes went by and I go, I don't know. I think it's not working. And then literally like as I thought that, I was like, oh my God. And you literally sit in the bathroom for like 2 hours.
Yeah, but
You're
I-
just in and out.
Sounds
It's
kind of
wild.
nice.
I thought there was one where they go in with a tube. And
Yeah,
they
that's
just-
afterwards.
Oh, it's
wait.
all part of the thing.
Oh no, you thought they go in with a tube and like clean you out?
Yeah.
Is
And
that
every-
a colonic?
A colonic.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Because all the excess weight in you, like that.
No,
slows
but
you
I do
down.
have. We do have a bidet.
Okay,
I do love a bidet.
pretty
I
cool.
do love a nice. Do you have the Tushy or the
I don't-
other
it's-
one?
We have an off-brand one, which honestly, first of all, my husband, he said he's gonna look and see if he can fix it, but it's really lost
Broke?
a lot of pressure.
It's not good.
It's not good. I told him we need a new one, but I need everybody to get on board with bidets in this country because it has made.
Life changing.
I mean, my butthole is so spoiled now, and as somebody who works the road a lot, I really need everywhere to get on board and have these.
It is very true. Like the best argument I ever heard for bidets was like if you got shit on your hand, would you just wipe it off, or you would use soap and water to like get it off, right? Like
That's someone's bit. I think I've heard
Is
that.
it?
I think that's a bit.
that's
probably where you heard
literally
it.
the best argument I've heard. So yeah, it might have been a bit.
Big Tom is a huge
Huge bidet. guy.
bidet guy.
Toilet paper should only be for drying. It should not be for cleaning.
Amen. Even though we don't have a bidet here, it's very.
Why not? What do you spend your money on? If not bathroom things.
I know the essentials, food and alcohol. That's
But your alcohol consumption will be so much more enjoyable. And
true.
in New York, we don't pay for water. So
True.
there's no reason to not just spend $30.
I know.
It's a one-time.
I just hope it
payment.
doesn't come into the public sphere of public bathroom bidets.
Oh, I would love that.
I don't know. I feel like
No,
somehow
that's a
it would be
cleanup for somebody. That's
it
a
would be
cleanup problem.
People would
be
be
a
taking
problem.
baths. People would turn it on and just walk out, and it would just be
Yeah,
spitting
yeah.
water all day.
No, I think
my
you're
goodness.
right. I think it has to be restricted to public or to private places only.
My friend had one in high school before they had these new rig ups. Someone must have put it in the house before they moved in. It was separate. I couldn't figure out for so. I was like, why do this have? I thought it was like mom and dad. I was like, is that the mom's toilet or the dad? Because it had, it was a separate toilet.
That
right
is
together.
crazy when you see like the two toilets now. Like whoever came up with like the attachable bidet has to be like the patent for that. They have to be billionaires.
The separate one is weird
Right?
because it's just like you're supposed to just like get up and waddle over.
Yeah, it was like it reminded me of something you'd seen like old. It was like from the like
It's also
France.
very low pressure. It's like water fountain pressure.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
I need
it's
like
not.
jet stream
Right.
pressure.
I need a colonic.
Exactly. You can like move around a little bit. It's great.
I seen a guy recently. I was doing a job, and they had they had one that was it was a hose, like a spray you do it, and I was like, I don't know if that's gonna be better. I didn't know how it fully worked. I'm like, you got to go in the tub with this. I was like, because there's no way I'm gonna pull that off like with this hose. Just I was like, where do you? It's gonna be all over the place. I tried to. I was mixing plaster for a job, and the guy was using the sink. So I started using his bidet spray to like mix the plaster, and then the pipe
Smart.
like started leaking everywhere. I was like, oh no, because I was.
What did you do? You just left?
I just turned the water off.
Oh, smart.
Figured it out.
Let
You're
the next guy
You're
do it.
listening to Shit Talk with Dylan and
Talking
This is
shit.
about the best way to end the episode. We're at just over an hour. We do usually about an hour. Is there anything else that you have? Any other stories? Anything you want to talk about before we
Plug all your
wrap
Insta,
up?
everything.
I don't know. I haven't really think I've gotten in that much trouble
You know,
except for the
weed is a good
except for the
story. That's a
weed.
good story.
yeah, my first time on tripping on mushrooms, I had to call my roommate to come get me because I like had a breakdown, and then I did a crossword puzzle faster than I've ever done it in my life, and that's really it. That's the extent.
That's
Crossword puzzle enhancing drugs.
Yeah.
That's
well,
pretty-
mushrooms, they make you think differently.
Oh,
so.
absolutely.
Yeah, we literally we're gonna have back-to-back episodes with guests talking about mushrooms and how they're life-changing.
I do love mushrooms.
I really want to try them. I've never tried
Weed
them.
gives me too much anxiety now.
Same.
For some reason.
Weed gives me anxiety.
I think it all got too strong.
It is. It's insane. It's
Yeah.
It's like drinking moonshine. That's what people don't
Yeah.
realize. Every time you jump back in, it's like 10.
That's a great way of
It's-
putting it.
They're like, what? Why? How'd it go wrong? It's like, yeah, you're not supposed to. It's one hit. That's all you need with this new weed. But guys who smoke it every day, you're smoking huge blunts.
It's too
But
much.
no, thanks for having me,
Dude,
guys.
thanks
All
for
right,
doing
thank you
it.
for coming.
Give them your plugs wherever they can find you. This is going to come out, I believe, not next Wednesday, but the Wednesday after.
Okay.
So if you have any shows,
find me on everything at Ariel_comedy. I know I'm trying to remember road dates off the top of my head. I think I'm going to be in Hanover, Pennsylvania, November 18th and 19th, and then Pittsburgh on the 20th at like a skate park. I don't know. This was booked before my life changed. I know that I'll be at Catch a Rising Star December 2nd in Huntington, Pennsylvania, and then the Catch a Rising Star in Princeton on December 19th. Something like that. I don't know. Go to my just Ariel_comedy. You can find all the links.
great. It was great off the top of the head like that. Michael?
Mike T. Kerrigan, Instagram, and at Michael Kerrigan 8 on TikTok.
Sucks that
Really?
that was taken. Sucks, dude. At Dylan Krasinski on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, and at Troublemakers on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Guys, if you're listening, Spotify or Audible or Apple Podcasts, give it a 5-star rating, 5-star review. It takes 10 seconds. Thank you to Ariel. Go follow her, and we'll see you next week, baby. Good night.